Danielle, thank you so much. Hola, Jose. Me encanta que estás aquí. I came on a little bit early because fiddling around is always a little touch and go when it comes to me and small screens. Oop, let me set that down. Let me sit myself down. Let me find the chat on another device just so that I can keep up because I'm not going to be behind the screen. We are going to be doing this in the format of how I normally film, but then I edit a lot of things out. And then you watch a video. Danielle, it's good to see you. Goodness me, I hope you're doing well. It's been like a hot minute, hey? Got the notification for the CalMag. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Good evening, Julie's son. It's good to see you. Hand hearts, Daniel. Thank you so, so much. I have 30 degrees in the shade. I'm not entirely sure what that's in Fahrenheit. Maybe around 86, 87. Not entirely sure. Hey, look at this. Look at this. We have live reactions as well. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, down at the bottom, you can see a heart. If you hit that, then you can do all sorts of funny things. Oh, it's good to see you. I'm so glad that you got a notification. I was having a test device going simultaneously, and I couldn't see a notification. As long as you can hear me, we're out on the east side of the patio, and 30 degrees in the shade. I am loving this. I have not switched to shorts yet because, you know, how do you say, trust issues. FFF. Hello, Portugal. How are you? Gloomy day. Okay, let me take this down. I can't see. 18. All righty. Well, I got you beat, girl. I got you beat. But I am so, so happy. It's been a super, super busy week. Orchid Ninjas will know, and they'll see more coming soon. Super busy. I'm trying to play catch up. So I thought we're going to do this live. Get my beautiful No ID Paphiopedilum repotted. I hope I have everything prepared. If not, then what we're going to have to do is the bits that I would normally edit out, I'm going to have to then ask you to chat amongst yourselves, you know, while I get things prepared. Because I'm not entirely sure if I want to cut the rhizome and get her back into this pot here, or if I'm going to go with something bigger. I've already prepared my square pot, but we shall have to wait and see how that turns out. E. Gomez, hello from Florida. Hey, saludos from Spain. Robbie, how are you? Good to see you. Good morning to everybody that is on the other side of the world that away. And good evening to everybody that is on the other side of the world the other way. Okay, anything with water today has to go elsewhere. There's too much stuff happening on the table that is kind of electric. Okay, this little guy, well, little, big, it featured recently with a bloom in a slipper orchid update care collab. And I said that it needs a repot when the bloom fell, and the bloom fell a couple of days ago. And then I was umming and ahhing, should I, shouldn't I do this as a live stream? It's always, you know, I wish I was somewhere, you know, I really want to hit India. I want to be able to be around when it's convenient for Jose to be here. It's just difficult. I can sit in the dark and it's more convenient for all parts of the world. And I'm sitting in the dark, kind of stuck in the middle here we are. Fernanda, you and I have a plan, especially because it's like Europe. We're going to have to figure it out. But I would love to go live together with you. Why not? I know you're a busy lady, so you don't need me to barge in like that. Out of the blue. Do not feel committed. I can also ask somebody else, but I would love to try go live together at the same time on YouTube and just yap away. Either we're doing something or we're not. Something like that. Future Marsing, that's awesome to see you here. Hey, Future Mark Inc. I remember trying to say that the last time I saw your name. It's not Future Marsink, it's Future Mark Inc., as in incorporated, I think. Anyway, so my no ID has been soaking just in seaweed, and I didn't have to top up the pot again. So I'm expecting a good root system, but it could also be a dead root system because it's been in this pot, oh, way overdue, let's just say. But slipper orchids, I'm not normally so keen every 2 or 3 years to get them repotted. It's just when they look a little bit mangy, or, as it was the case here as well, the orchid was lifting herself out of the pot. Another signal that I could identify as a good sign, meaning we've got roots, because I potted her a little bit lower, and if she's rising up and the leca is starting to rise up, then we should be okay. Now, if I can fit her back into this pot, that would be awesome. That would make my planning for the repot of 2023 less strenuous on the wallet. I mean, I can always, replenish, but why? Why should we? I'm kind of loath to cut rhizomes, to be honest with you. It's just something, yeah. But when dealing with potted orchids, we always have to do things that are not really that pleasing. Oh, let me show your comment, Fernanda. What did you do? Okay. YouTube's terms of services, peoples. Oh my goodness. Comments are being deleted left, right, and center. If you're watching this live, I don't want anybody to think I'm ignoring their comment. If you're watching this on the replay and I've not responded to any of your comments in the past, my goodness, let me know. I do not ignore anybody, but I just had to approve that little emoji salute comment from Fernanda. Isn't that crazy? Why would I have to approve that? There's nothing wrong with her comment. That's awesome. Future Mark Inc. Got it. Got it. Oh, here she comes. Huh. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. We got something that doesn't look quite right in the middle. Yeah, that's to be expected. Those are from the old fans. I'm relieved to report. Old fans. As long as they're dead roots from the old fans, it's okay. It's okay. Oh, we got some new growths coming as well. Yeah, easy, easy. Don't get too carried away here. How can old fans have live roots? Says Oscar from the garbage can in Sesame Street. You got some old... They're live. Huh. All right. Normally I would cut to edit, but we are here and we're going to do this. I'm going to move you, get you in a little bit closer, because why not? YouTube is nuts. Gomez, I'm glad you're here. I hope you enjoy the little stint together on the patio. And another thing is, let me just make sure, if you're on the chat, if you look at the top underneath where you see the bold lettering of live chat, you will probably be seeing on your devices top messages. If you tap that, you will also see an option for all messages. It's bizarre. Why do you have to opt for all messages to see everybody that's chatting? So to opt for all messages in case you're missing out on people that are leaving in the chat. Oh, hey. We're going to have a video from Fernanda Nacimiento Orchids and Succulents. That's always such a pleasure. Okay, it's going to get a bit jiggly for a little bit. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can jiggle you less, seeing as I feel you're all in my devices and I don't want to rock the boat here too much. I got to be a little bit more aware that nobody gets seasick. If so, there's a bag right in front of your seat. Call the stewardess. All right. I think that's a pretty good visual right there. Now, make sure I don't bash the tripod with my chair, which happens on occasions when I'm filming. You see, we get away with that when we're filming. Yes, I'm still in long pants. I'm still not in flip-flops. I got the trust issues. All right. Let me just ensure that I am in shot. And let's get the microfiber out of the way. I hope that video includes your fires, Fernanda. Tisk, tisk, tisk. My fires is getting scorched, as per usual. And I'm losing the lower 2 or 3 blooms, not leaves. The other blooms are just opening, but dang, it's been so nice. It's been so nice today. I'm almost like in tears, you know, so happy. I was watching a video today and I was just in tears because I was feeling hot. Yes, that's my fault because I'm still wearing long pants. But suddenly I realized I was hot and I was like, oh, when was the last time I felt hot? And now you're going to see goosebumps just because of the emotion. I'm not cold, not like last time. Not like last time. Oh, by the way, if we hear a lot of cacophony in the background, the dogs will be barking if my daughter comes home from work. That's the welcoming committee, and it would be the outside noise, which I will not be able to edit out. Ciliano is in his cage. He's not in his jungle gym. I tried. I had him out an hour and a half before going live, just in case it didn't work, because he has a mind of his own sometimes. Sometimes my mind helps him to convince him that what I mean is good for him. So I tried to put him in his jungle gym and he flew off my hand and I thought, yeah, well, okay, he doesn't want to, so we're not going to force him. I was hoping I could get him out and show you him in real time when I shower him down, instead of with a video and, you know, because he gets all, well, you've seen it on videos maybe. Okay, now, these are all firm, you guys. But let's turn her around because, oh, we got root tips. We got root tips. So I'm just going to hold her here because, shiny root tips. We got failed root tips because they reached the surface. They came back up. And yeah, salt accumulation. That is a note to self. Salt accumulation, it could be 2 things. My leca has gotten too, let's say, it was not leached enough when I potted this orchid up. That could be one factor. Or during the winter, I wasn't rigorous enough with the flushing because of my mind going horribly blank, wrong, deteriorating, declining during mid-January all the way through to almost March. I was in a very, very bad way mentally because of the cold and the dark. It really, really affects me. Oh, hello. We left a leaf behind. Quel dommage. Oh, well. We'll figure out if that is because of rot or what. Anywho. So, yeah, that shows me that, yeah, I wasn't careful enough with the flushing. I think throughout the recent winter, because that is recent. In my opinion, seeing white on the surface, that's recent. Otherwise, I would have been more vigorous. I can only assume. I'm not going to fudge around with what I believe that is, because fertilizer, I doubt it. To be honest with you, I've become so wary of fertilizing my slipper orchids. They almost get nothing. The other day, I fertilized my Lindley Kupovitz because she's a large one, and I was like, I went with 50. 50 parts per million only because she's a large one, and last year I gave her a little bit more and promptly burnt one of the leaf tips because of that. So I was like, yeah, you know, less is more, and none is even better if you want to maintain your leaves. So got to make sure that we keep the new growths intact. It's a bit concerning that that one leaf just kind of popped off there, but anyway, let's see, what do we got in here? You see where the leca is holding on nicely. These are all live roots. Let's see. Do I want to... Okay, King is at my feet. So is the tripod. Here we go. Let's bring her up. Do we want to cut the rhizome? I'm going to say, when I say one and point my finger, and you see that happening, give me a signal in the chat, please, when you see and hear it, okay? 1. Huh. That's a long delay. Because what I was going to do is ask you, do you want me to cut the rhizome? I would, if you want me to. I'll cut the rhizome and then see what happens from there on in. She's strong enough on both sides. I've got 2 growths coming on this side. I've got viable roots. I've actually got 3 growths coming on this side. And the other side, only 1 growth. But if you want me to cut the rhizome, Future Mark Inc. coming in hot. Cut it. Alrighty. Let's do that. First I have to, though, remove the leca then. That has to happen. At least we're going to go through the nasty bit there. E. Gomez, go for it. I love your enthusiasm. Let's see. There's another one right there. I wonder if I can get it out. Or is that already the rhizome? Alrighty. Choppity chop chop chop. Anita Brown. Anita Brown. I know, right, Mark? But I can tell you one thing about this. It's such a common hybrid. It's not like somebody's going to say, can I have some? Can I have some? No. There, it doesn't matter. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Well, that was like a lead balloon effect, wasn't it? No drum roll, no sound effects, nada. We got rid of some live roots on the side, but that's not a problem. It really isn't a problem for me. I've got so much good stuff going on. You see, we got this cut off. Let me see if I can show you a little bit closer, but let me first untangle her without snapping any, because now caution is key. Now that we've cut the rhizome, we have to make sure that everything that we've got viable remains intact. No messing about now. So I got the sandwich. Good to see you, Anita. Thank you for joining. Hey, Michelle. Thank you for taking the time. I wish I could plan these like with 24 hours in advance, but it doesn't work that way. It's more, can I do it today? Can I get it done? How bad is the noise pollution going to be, etc. There we go. They look like tarantula legs. This one is still firm, so I'm going to leave it. I've still got some, ooh, they're hugging each other down here. Ha, da 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 da. Take your time. Take your time. Hope everybody's doing well. Especially because those of you going into fall, I'm just going to keep them wet because of the very, very dry air. We've got 11% humidity today. You got 2 calluses now, one here and one here starting because I have to keep changing hands. Oh, it's so much fun though, you guys. I am not complaining. So much fun. Waking up in the morning, you're feeling warm, jump into a cold shower, and yay, let's go see how the orchids did. You saw my Guatemalensis today, if you haven't. What a joy. What a joy. Come on, very gently. There's only this part, and of course, of course, ha ha, it's where the root tip is. Meh. I would say we've got all day. We've got all night too, because it's just not going to get cold. So that came off pretty well. I'm damaging the velamen right there. Come on. Let's see if it goes as good on right above here. I don't want to use any kind of utensil to do this. You can see how quickly the velamen comes off. I don't think I've cracked that one. Let's see if we can maintain it uncracked. That'd be great. So the fresher part of the root is a little bit easier to dislodge than the older part. Except right here, you can see I'm tearing the velamen. Yeah. Would have preferred to have avoided that. All right. Up and down. Are we separate yet? Where are we still conjoined? Right there. Let's get you out. Meanwhile, they're both going back into the same pot. I'm not growing these on separately. But in order to fit them in the pot again, I wanted to make sure I got all the roots separated so that I can squish them up again. I know, it makes no sense, does it? But it gives me a really good impression of how much space I have. King, you've got to move. He's on my feet. You'd think he'd learn by now that I go up and down, up and down. Check this out. I went through the live root. Huh. Never mind. That's what happens. Okay, dude. Oh. Yeah, she's too spotted, Robbie. Thank you, though. Thank you so much for that. But she has too much damage to her leaves. They would say that is not good growing. The blooms are spectacular, though. But for our personal enjoyment, she's good enough. Okay, this one's all right. This piece is good to go. I may actually cut where the crack is right here. That's not going to amount to much once it's back in the pot. And also these little guys, yeah, stripped of their velamen. They were on the microfiber. They can come off as well. That's okay, Mark. That's okay. Look at how much stayed on both pieces. And then let's see if we can do something about this bit in the middle, just because now that we're at it, let's give her a little bit of a makeover. Sorry for all the scooters and the noise in the background. This is live. There is not much editing or stopping while we're doing this. With the exception of, if the dude comes with his music blaring because he thinks everybody needs to hear his soundtrack, I may hit the pause button, because that can affect whether this video is going up or not because of copyright. I've got this one guy, he just seems to think that he jams the best music, and we all need to know. There we go. Let's have a look at this piece. We've got lots of nasty in the middle here. The thing is, wow, I was hoping to be able to go really clean, deep, but I can't. These roots are viable, peeps. And that's why we're not going to be too mad. I just heard a crack. Not going to be too mad and then crack. Let's see what we can flush out here. Okay. Now, the velamen that is cracked up here, let's see where we are at. How far can we go? You see there's a velamen shredded right here. Even though it's viable, I'm going to go to where it's bent. This is not really a branching root system. So we gotta be careful. It's so tempting to go chop, chop, chop. And the velamen is so badly damaged up here, but I don't want another root to go to the surface. So I'm just going to leave this bit exposed and put it back into the pot. There's an ant that I disturbed, so that one wants to protest. The ants are back. Okay, there we go. 2 pieces. I'm not putting any cinnamon or anything on the rhizome. No need. But look, it looks a lot tidier already, doesn't it? Check out this sunburn. There was an ICU bottle with an orchid in it right up against that, and that's how the pattern of the bottle is on the leaf. That's where the sun came through, and it kind of, yeah, it kind of behaved like a magnifying glass. Oops. So we'll do that. The thing is, do we want her back in the old pot? Or do we want her, you know what? She's getting the square pot that was bought for her. Stop being so stingy. I'm going to put her back in her square pot. New square pot, spanking new. Alrighty, let me move this. And bring you in here. And let's see if this is visible. I still haven't figured out where that leaf popped, and I don't know why this is over here. No idea why this is here, because I've got my 4 microfibers already in the pot. Something I prepared earlier. And this is something that is super interesting. This is the new leca bag that I separated and have been leaching since I posted that video about supplies. And the ppm was really, really low, but the pH was 11, roundabout there. Crazy, crazy high, complete opposite to what I'm accustomed to. So of course it's been leaching, I've been changing the water, and then after a week I've seen that the water peters out at 8. Then I change the water again, and you know, as that goes on, the pH starts to drop and adapt to what the water pH is that you're leaching it with. Well, before I decided to use this, because we're dealing with a slipper orchid, if the pH was a little bit higher than 8 still, I would have still used it because slipper orchid, alkaline, Hakuna Matata, it's great. So I measured the pH, it's at 7.7. Woohoo! We got it from 11 down to 7.7, but the parts per million had gotten from 110 when I first measured the parts per million to 240. Isn't that bizarre? That's so strange, because my RO water is at 7, sometimes 11. Anyway, never mind, it's fine. So this is now fresh RO water, just one more time in the leca. I heard that this past weekend at the Vancouver Orchid Show that they don't look at leaves, just the blooms. Ah, okay. These pots you should be able to find. I have a video, Mark. It's called My Pots. Very creative name. It's called My Pots, and in that video I have all the barcodes and everything of the pots that I use. So yes, I buy these at my garden center. Thankfully, I can't get my small round ones anymore. I can get up to 18 centimeters, and I'm sorry, I'm not able to go into US measurements off the top of my head. But what I can do, if you like, when this is over, I'm going to post the barcode, the item, into the description. I don't know if that's of any help, if that helps you get sorted. Normally, all my descriptions all have the round pots, but I don't think I've ever featured the square pots in my description. So, what I want to do is bring you in. Let's see if I can raise you up again, because I need to also fill this up with water. Even though I was using RO water and just poured everything into the pot, because I'm going to do my submerged potting up method. Here we go. Tiny bit of a adjustment here, comme ça. So far so good. We haven't tripped over ourselves. There's hope. Okay, stop jinxing it. There's still time, but stop jinxing it. Okay, so let's do this. Oh, and by the way, Mark, this is not a set, okay? It's not like you can buy this as a set. I was super fortunate to get the outer pot, as I call it now. It's a mask. By the way, the red is not fertilizer. That is residue from the leca that I just poured in, okay? This rain mix has a red tinge to it. I'm not using any fertilizer here. Anyway, so this is a pot all by itself, and I am fortunate to find actually square normal pots that give me this self-watering setup. It's pure luck. This is not like you would go to the shop and find it as a set. So more RO water goes in. I'll keep my microfibers up. I don't have loops here because the pot is higher. And I'm trying to counteract my dry top layer by making sure that the wicking gets as high as possible. I know that this doesn't look like much, but it's better than if I just had the microfiber at the base. Let's be a little bit more generous here. Okay. I've been harvesting RO water like a woman possessed because tomorrow it's going to be another day like this. So excited. Alrighty. Let's get ourselves some sustenance here. Sorry if you hear me swallowing. Okay. Come here, you two. We forgot a little strand. It's not really here nor there, but while we're in this situation, ¿por qué no? There we go. Okay, now, directions of growth. Hopefully, with the rhizome cut, we're going to activate another direction of growth on this piece right here. This piece already has 3 directions of growth. And the beauty of dealing with a square pot, we can work with diagonals. Hey, hey, hey. I don't know, in the past I was always so fixated on round pots, but when I couldn't get my size anymore, I opted, of course, for what I could find, which was square. And they are so much better. So much better to maneuver, handle, and not just an orchid in a pot because of directions of growth, because I like to position my orchids now into the center no matter their size. It's just so much nicer. You have so much more flexibility. But also, they fit nicely next to each other if you're limited for space. There's no dead space really around them. I love it. And they are super quality as well. At least the inner mass, the inner pot here, oh, it has a completely different feel from what I see with my other white pots, the original ones, the round ones. I'm liking this. Let's get this over here a little bit more, seeing as we've got one vigorous side. And I wonder if we're going to be successful in activating the other side. Time will tell. And then we... This is not really a good view, is it? Let's just get them situated first. Seeing as I don't have anybody holding them in place, I'm going to use my leca to do that for me. And once the bits and pieces are in place and standing independently, does it look dark on screen, or is it just me that feels that this is so dark because I have such a light reflection on the patio? It just looks a bit dark. I'm not sure if you guys feel this is too dark. Yeah, they're really good. Just making sure I can follow you guys. Don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. This is live after all. I don't feel so alone on my patio, muttering and silently cursing at everybody that's making noise on the other side of the hedge. Okay, let's take it easy. Let's not go ahead of ourselves. So we've got that part done. Now it's just a question of filling her up. And I think I'm going to have to get more leca. I have everything ready to go. But I'm also thinking, you know what? You've only bought one bag, but you're intending to bump up quite a few orchids. And, maybe I don't have enough leca. But then we'll do a little trip to the garden center and we'll see what's going on there. And just because I'll be filming, I will be stopping at the orchids to show everybody. Because I make a huge beeline when I go to that garden center where I get my leca. I do not go close to the orchids because that is just not, yeah. Because they have nice different orchids. Not the garden center where I get these pots at. The other one, they have nice variety. And that is super tempting. Now, you may think, oh, that's so low in the pot. And you are right. Normally at this stage, I like to jiggle the pot and raise the orchid up, but we're dealing with a slipper orchid. And I keep them lower in the pot on purpose because I don't want to be bothering them for as long as possible, if possible. Organic media and all that fun stuff I take advantage of. I don't have to repot so much. And then I let the orchid rise up as she grows, hopefully more roots, bring her up where I can keep filling media around as she grows up and lifts herself out of the pot. And eventually when we see her up here and the leca has become all bubbly and unruly on the surface, that is when I will repot her again. But this is ridiculous, okay? This is not the intention. I need more leca. So, sorry about that. I had 3 Greek yogurt tubs of leca. I thought that would be plenty. I'm not using the old leca because, hey, while I'm at it, I might as well just get my fresh leca and then deal with the old leca and get that all cleaned up. Otherwise, I would be here and not have to leave the live just for a second. So, if you don't mind, talk amongst yourselves just for a moment, please. Sorry about that. Let me check the battery. Hey, it's good to see you. How are you doing, Soft as Hard? You think I just disappeared, you showed up and like, what's going on here? There's nobody here. Oh, right. Here's my little pot. I was wondering, where is my little pot? Ta-da! Right in here. So good to see you. I hope you're doing well. So what I'm doing now is just filling up to get the leca right at the base and a little bit above. Whoa, easy with the water, Nina. Electronics all around. But I'm not filling up to the rim of the pot. This is just to cover the base and cover some roots that were dangerously close to the surface in the other pot. You see, this is my small leca stash. That doesn't make sense for what I'm seeing, what's going on with my list that I did in that one video. I thought I had a lot more small leca. All the other stash is large. We're going to the garden center. You know what I would love to do? I would love to be able to do a live stream in the garden center. I'm going to ask them, when I go to film, I'm going to ask them if it would be possible for me to show up with my kitten caboodle and then get a live stream started in the garden center. Yes, with the tripod and everything, even though that's going to look really weird if I'm going to move around and show you guys things, if you want me to show you things. Otherwise, we'll just be standing at the orchids and going through the benches there. live. I would love to do that. Good. Very glad that you're doing well. Rayanne, hello. Coming in, coming in. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Note to self, ask the garden center if you can live stream in their facility. They should have Wi-Fi. You know, says she who has never been out of the home. Oh, the other day I went out of town, out to San Pedro, and I'm like, so much has changed, including traffic. Let me just tip this RO water into the Gloriosa lilies. Sorry. Sorry. If I turned the camera right now, it would not be a pretty view. Alrighty. How bizarre as well that I rinsed the leca before putting it into those Greek yogurt Tupperwares, and look at how much dust still came when I put fresh RO water in. So maybe this leca is a little bit delayed in the leaching process. I'm going to have to keep an eye on the reservoir. Note to self, fill the reservoir. Now I know that the leca that I put in had 240 parts per million in it. And then I will be checking, because I'm not going to fertilize this orchid for at least another month, if not more, for no other reason, just because, you know, once bitten, twice shy. So I can measure what the reservoir is telling me when it comes to the parts per million of the leca. That would be a first for me, that leca starts to leach after, gosh, when did I do that supplies video? 2 months ago maybe? It would be a surprise if that were the case. But doesn't mean it can't happen, you know? At least the pH is correct. I'm happy to see how the pH dropped over these months. And she is looking fabulous. Oh, wait a second, we do have a tag even though she's a no ID. When did I get her? There we go. She's an OG. She's an OG in my collection. He, she, I don't know. I interchange he and she's when it comes to orchids. Let's make sure that my reservoir is high enough, because the roots are a little bit higher as well. They should be touching. Ooh, we are still a long ways off. These bigger pots also, they suck up some serious water. When I flushed my Guatemalensis in the video, I had 10 liters. That's about 3.5 gallons. A whole bucket was flushed into that pot through it. So I hope you can see that. There's the level, and we're still draining. And the reason I'm doing that is because the roots are like up here, so I don't want them too far away from the water. And there will be a lot of flushing with this one now for the next month as well, just so that the roots keep getting their oxygen. Once a slipper orchid is a little bit more settled in an inorganic media, let's say 6 months down the line, you can be a little bit more lackadaisical about flushing. You don't have to be as pedantic and rigorous about it. It's still not a good idea to keep the reservoir with stagnant water. You know, you want to be refreshing that. But if you don't have time to flush, if you don't have resources, like when my RO system packed up that one summer, then it's okay to just fill up the reservoir with fresh water. But to not do anything, that's not good. They don't like to be in old water. And there we go. Let me just clean up this mess and see what's been going on with the chat. I feel a bit like a chameleon. Oh, but I'm absolutely loving these sessions. I'm so enjoying this. You know, when I'm filming, I have thoughts, I speak them out loud, but they don't come as conversational that I feel, you know? It's all a little bit like, how do I say it? I don't want to say like staged, because I don't want any of my videos to appear staged. But this is so much more fun. Okay, can you see the base? And let's do a double check on her together. All right, so this one, you see this growth here? It's gorgeous. You think, oh, that's coming out nicely. Not quite. This one is reaching for light because it started to come out about February, mid-February, and that was when I had the darkest nights. And that meant the darkest days because it was all overcast as well. So the grow room didn't have the angle of the sun coming in. All right. So this growth, while it looks nice, it's reaching. And the reason you can see that when you assess your slipper orchid is because look at what the previous growth did. Maybe show you what the previous growth did. Let's say not on the same fan. It doesn't matter now, but it's the same orchid. It's more compact and more flush at the base there. Hope you can see that. Okay, so this growth back here, and this one's coming nicely because this one was tucked up against the wall, this one, so it was further away from the light, the minimal light I had, and this one was closer to the light. I know it's only marginal, but you see what difference it makes. So here, I may need to give it some more leca, because if anything comes out of there and I'm not paying attention, she lives where just a lot of breeze comes in. And the breeze is super dry, not exactly root friendly at the moment. I even moved my neos this morning. I thought, oh dang, no, my Schutano is growing such beautiful root tips, I can't tell you. Such a blessing to see that on the fan after the mother fan had, you know, crown rot. And I put sphagnum moss across the top and I moved her back because I'm like, oh, please don't fail on me. I took her away from the imminent line of fire. So I'm really hoping those roots go into the pot. If not, I want that Schutano to make it. She's doing so well. If not, I haven't even figured out a plan B. I really want the semi-hydro to work. But you see here, this is perfect, just a tad. We've not buried them. And oh, of course, we've got one rogue root right there. Seriously? There's always that one, right? There, that's it. Okay, and now you see how I've still got like two chubby fingers. Not slim fingers, two chubby fingers that I've still got space for the orchid to grow up and out. And before she even gets to that point, she can grow roots into the pot. So you see, while she grows roots into the pot, that can take a couple of years before she starts then to lift herself out. That can take another couple of years. So we've got plenty of room to work with. And when I was just thinking about how she is positioned where she should live, now that she's in a square pot, yeah, we won't be up against the wall. We may not even be up against the wall. We may have to reconsider where she's going to go. Repotting is fun. And then, where do you put the bigger pot? Okay, I'll get back to you on that one. Alrighty, let me check and see. Let me see, first of all, we got the orchid, like that. Let's raise you up a little bit more. We're on the move. Anybody that gets a little bit woozy, we're on the move. We've stopped moving, so steady screen again. There we go. And it's coffee time. And maybe if you have any questions, or let's see what you guys have been up to. Mark, even if not a live stream, just to walk through the video, yeah. Yeah, I've done a couple of those very early in my channel days. It's time to do an update. And then Roby. Okay. What I'm going to try and do when I go and get the leca, we'll do a walkthrough and I'll film what I have, but I'm also going to ask them to, if possible, that I can live stream. So we'll just do that. Because I don't want to be on camera like that. It's a bit awkward for me. Even though it really doesn't matter, not here nor there, but I was not prepared to be on camera, and there are certain little, how do you say, vanities. Okay, right, it's spring here in Spain, it is fall in Australia, and anybody else who is here that has not commented, I don't know where I have you on the world map, but I hope that your orchids are doing well. If you have any questions, Softest Heart says, I have roots at the top of my phals that dry out. Yes, I do that with the wet microfiber as well. I've just been so... The things that I've done to my neos, like the specialist neos, you know, they have, you know, with the variegation and everything. I almost lost, I mean, I've lost one. So it's like they need a little bit more. And I did use microfiber in the early days. My classic neo is just a beast. No issues there whatsoever. Same setup, nothing. It's just carrying on in its pot. The other ones, so that's why I didn't go full microfiber. I thought, I'm going to do the sphagnum moss. I'm just going to revert back to what I find is safe. And as soon as that sphagnum moss gets algae on it, that's going to go. Yes, this is sun damage right here. This one. I hope I'm showing that. The other damage is the mite. The mite issue I had last summer where this orchid and rescue orchids are living. So what you see as spotting, which is not to be confused with the mottling, okay, that's natural mottling. This is spotting from the mite damage. Okay, that's unfortunate that that will stick around, but what I can see, my new growths, oh, speaking of which, great reminder, thank you. Just a second while we're at it. Because she did get a preventative treatment, let me say, Slipper Orchid Care Collab update. That was her preventative treatment. What did I do with my alcohol? Come on. So that was like, what, was it 2 weeks ago maybe? I mean, it's a little bit premature to do another preventative treatment, but might as well, seeing as we're outside in the breeze, give another little mist down, just to be on the safe side. So I hope that the sunburn was visible because I was sitting. I couldn't exactly tell where the camera was. So that is sunburn. And this is mite damage. This is natural mottling. And this is just, yeah. I didn't know what I was dealing with. It was the first time I had ever seen anything like that in my collection. I never thought spider mites were an issue. And you know, I never actually thought that they would ever be an issue because I've just never had a problem. I've never seen them as an issue anywhere on the coast from all the years I've lived here. But it would make sense to get spider mites because it's hot and it's dry. They love it. So I've also sprayed down that palm tree that's self-seeded because I could see some webbing there last year. And that's when I figured out through the comments what was going on. Because even the webbing isn't something I'm accustomed to. I thought that was just normal spiders, like my little house spiders that come into my pots. I never figured out that that was something bad. So yeah, I am very close to Gibraltar, E. Gomez. Southern Spain, Gibraltar is about 35 minutes away from me. Hey, Sandy's Orchids. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well, that your Saturday has gone off to a great start. So I've got the spider mite issue and I'm now at least aware because it didn't just hit the shelf that I was at. Hang on a second. It didn't just hit that shelf. It also got my pocket lover. And my pocket lover lives on the east side shelf at the bottom there. Look. This is from last year. And I'm glad these leaves held on, but some of them completely defoliated. And that was down on the lower shelf of the east side. So that, nah, you know, I don't want to do too much. I already did this one 2 days ago. But just a little spritz here and there. It's like, because they're coming out really nicely, all the new growths. And look at those roots. Oh, look at those roots. So I've been very, very careful with these guys because these new growths are muy importante for the future of this orchid. She bloomed twice for me throughout the winter. Can you believe it? Kateva Wahidi gave me this one. So I want to make sure I do her justice sending me such nice orchids. Right, ¿qué más? Yeah, the white pots, they are a lifesaver, especially if you can just use them either in semi-hydro or as a mask. It's awesome. Roby! Hey Nina, when it comes to paths, considering they are slow growers, is there a better time to repot them? I just bought one and would like to repot into my system. Spring is here too. There's, let's just say, I would say legend. No, there is no right or wrong season to repot them. They can be repotted at any time. They, I wouldn't repot while it's in bloom. That's why I waited with this one. I wanted it to finish blooming. I wouldn't do that because that would probably shorten the lifespan of the bloom. But you can repot a slipper orchid anytime during the winter, as long as the winter conditions aren't stressful. Let's say, your grow space is nice and perfect. So if you're ready to repot for whatever reason, they are so easy to do. And, I've heard it said that they appreciate a repot. I'm a bit on the fence about appreciating a repot. I think any stressor, it can trigger something in an orchid, be it good or bad. However, a repot being a stress factor for any orchid, the slippers seem to respond better when they've been stressed. Especially if you have a slipper orchid that hasn't bloomed for years and years and years and years, it's because it's living la vida. It hasn't got a stress, no source of stress, so why bloom? And when you repot a slipper, then it starts to bloom. It's what happened with my Garin Weaver before I messed it up. So it's a bad example, but when I got my Garin Weaver, it didn't bloom for ages, and I thought, okay, fine, we're going to repot you, that's it, enough already, and boom, it bloomed. Because it was stressed out. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to speak on it, but let's put it this way, they don't like a repot, but they are the most forgiving when it comes to repotting, and they respond well to it, if that makes sense. You got another fantastic one. Thank you for the hearts. Whoever did that, thank you. I love that live interactive thing. That's so amazing. And well, you know what? My Aphyllum is just starting to open. I think we're going to do a live stream where I can sit in the dark, but I'm going to shine the light on my Aphyllum, and then we can just sit there and have a chat. Like, why should I sit underneath her on my own? Question. Inquiring minds want to know, because that's what I do. I put a pillow on the stairs, I lean back against the wall, and then I, look up. My decision-making process, any type. All right, I'm going to go from the perspective of an indoor grow space. I'm not going to add my considerations now, but I'm going to go from the perspective of how I bought this collection when I put it together. First of all, I started with names, orchid names that reminded me of precious moments in my life, be it people, names that are similar to people in my life. That's how I've started to build my collection then. From there, it went on location of the orchid. Where does it grow naturally? Because if I have visited that country, I want an orchid from that country, because every time I see it, it brings back memories, and it's always a memento, so to speak. That was another criteria. Meanwhile, of course, my temperatures at night were a criteria as well, my all-time lows. But back in the day, I had a grow space that was up and running. So my grow space never dropped down to, it never dropped below 18 degrees Celsius, and I had lights on. So the considerations were not based so much on my climate conditions, because I could pretty much grow any temperate orchid in the conditions I could provide it. All I went for was mementos, memories, and things that meant a lot to me or inspired me, like the Guatemalensis. When I saw that on the Orchid Rooms video, I told her in the comments, I need that orchid. That color just resonates with me. It reminds me of home. And, well, stuff like that. So now when I deal with an orchid, it's like, yeah, I remember you. you know? There's always that little touch. There's always a connection. This one, specifically, my No ID, I bought as a rescue from the garden center where I buy these pots from, only because I have never grown slipper orchids before, and I had read up about them, and I was told, well, I was not told specifically, but I read that slipper orchids and Lecan self-watering, no, that's not going to work. They won't grow well because of the water, whatever, you know, if you don't flush regularly, they like fresh water, and self-watering pretty much implies that you're not watering enough, you're letting the reservoir do the work for you. And I thought, well, hold my beer, watch the space. And I bought this one. I didn't know what the bloom was. I saw her in a very pathetic state. I plonked her into Lecan self-watering. Fast forward 5 years, here we are. It works. You just have to, it doesn't matter the setup. It matters the quality of water and the frequency that you put the water into the pot. So that is why I bought this one specifically, to just say, watch this space. Okay. Oh, you have to be on a mobile device, Robbie, to see the live hearts. That's it's a mobile thing. I don't get them when I'm watching a live on a computer either. So your Mac is not too old. It's probably on a device, mobile device, they are there. Sandy's Orchids, can I repot my Chantilly lace now? She's in sphagnum moss, or should I wait until new roots from the new growth? If your new growth is coming and it's only just in its infancy, Chantilly lace starts to grow roots or extends the root system on the previous growth when the new growth is about 3/4 of the way up. You don't have to wait until fall. But I would not transplant her from that sphagnum moss. I mean, if you are concerned that the sphagnum moss is smelly or degrading or something, then I would say go ahead. But if you're not concerned about it, leave her be. But Chantilly lace has this fantastic phenomenon. If you've got a healthy one, which I do not, but I've recognized last year because she is one of the ones from the worst orchid order I've ever had. What I noticed last year was she's behaving normally was that the root system of the previous growth started to grow new roots and extend, while the new growth of last year was 3/4 of the way up. And then that new growth has also produced its own root system. So you can intervene in an intermediate phase, if that makes sense. I did prove them wrong, yes. Now the aim is to get 3 blooms back into this orchid. This was the idea of the repot. I mean, she could have stayed another season in the old pot, but hey, yeah, I've got 3 leads. Come on, I only had 1 bloom this season, so I'm like, up, you're up, you're up. So I've got 4 leads. I'm okay if I only get 2 blooms, but 3 would be nice. Yes, I do have a tendency to white orchids, Anna. I do. The color white is something that cleans my mind. It keeps my mind less cluttered, if that's even possible, but yeah. If I could have the liberty of growing orchids outdoors, let's just say I'm back in Kenya and I'm, old like I am now. If I could have an option, I would do an orchid moon garden where I would only have white orchids or the creamy into the green orchids and just have them growing in that area. I would love that. Yes, and then there's the Guatemalensis. That's right. I'm not sure what that was referring. The Guatemalensis, yes, that is the orchid room. Yeah. And I couldn't find her. Let's just say, I looked briefly while I was commenting with the orchid room on her video to say, I just bought the orchid because of you. And I couldn't find her, so I couldn't complete the comment. So I said, I have as yet to find this orchid. It was something along those lines. And then promptly she sends me a link of where she was available and in stock. And I was like, okay, thanks. Gosh, I miss that. Oh, I miss Ariel so much. What a lady. Your Mac is old though? Okay, well, let me tell you, the Mac that I watch golf on is 12 years old. 12, 12, 12, going on, 12, 12, 12 years. Robbie, can you beat 12 years, Robbie? Let's do an auction. Whose Mac is the oldest? Hey, Clinton Carmen, it's good to see you. Hey. So you just bought your Cattleya and Phalaenopsis seedlings, and they are in leca. I'm kind of struggling on watering them and how much. Flush. Flush, flush, flush. That's the best watering you can give them. Every 2, every 3 days, especially seedlings. You need to get the oxygen, even if you don't think you've got live roots or anything in the pot. Whatever happens, it doesn't matter. Just keep flushing with fresh water, the cleanest water you can get with the lowest parts per million. And then when you fill up, after the flush, fill up with seaweed. I don't know what part of the world you're in. I don't know, Clinton, if you're in, if you're growing indoors, outdoors, how you've got that set up. But I would say flush, because you're saying you just bought Cattleya and Phalaenopsis, and they're seedlings. They like a lot of water, a lot of humidity. Just keep that oxygen going, keep everything fresh in that pot. When you say you're struggling on watering, I would like, can you determine that with a little bit more specificity? Hello, words are hard. Specifics. What are you struggling with? Is the leca going dry too quickly? Is the surface going too dry? Let me know. White phals are amazing. Yeah, she is a gorgeous orchid. So happy that she's not one of those that just goes, Pooh. And I'm looking at my Siamese doll kiwi by Foliate Little Diva. Do I have a wish list orchid for my growing conditions that I have tried, that I haven't tried before? Yes, those are Masdevallias, Michelle. I would love to grow Masdevallias. And yes, I've heard that there are warm Masdevallias, but I am not prepared to watch an orchid decline because I haven't figured out the ratio. I have so many others now that I'm concentrating on, but back when I was building this collection, I was thinking I want to grow Masdevallias, and I thought, you cannot grow Masdevallias, stop it, because 80% of my temperatures here are amazing conditions for orchid growing, which is not good in the counterside for Masdevallias. It's too hot for them. Now, you could say, well, in the winter, yes, but every orchid's metabolism is so darn slow, I don't have the window to recuperate anything that was struggling because of the heat, and then, try and get them back to strength during a 4-month window where the temperatures are ideal. Okay, Robbie, high five. That's awesome. I see you. My black pearl keiki roots do not resemble other roots I've seen on other Catasetum or... Okay, what does that mean? Black pearl keiki roots. I'm hoping that is a keiki on an established bulb that is now growing. And why do they not resemble other roots you've seen on Catasetums? Or is your keiki a single little bulb that you are growing on? Clinton Carmen is indoors in Italy, and now I have 21 and 70 at night. So now if I see the medium is dry, I will water them and not wait for the roots to get the grayish color. No? Okay, the grayish color, that could be the roots are already compromised. That could also mean the media has dried out. You do not want to have any seedlings in any setup, not just leca. You do not want them to dry out. And if you're concerned about that, it's also that's why the flushing is important. Just to, not just because of the surface, but that the oxygen stays in the pot until they do establish them. And there's no need to worry about root rot because what we are putting into the pot with this kind of a setup is oxygen. When people say that orchids want airflow or whatever around their roots, I always like to qualify that. While airflow is great if you're in a very, very humid environment, airflow is not what provides them with the maximum amount of oxygen. It's not the airflow that does them good, it's oxygen. So if we have a setup like this, our oxygen source is in the water, and that is what we're putting into the pot. Yes, you are lucky. Hello, Winterland Orchids. It's good to see you. Winterland Orchids would like to join the Care Collabs. Oh, did I say too much? Whenever you're ready, no rush. And I should say that properly, Winterland, but your orchids are in English. But anyway, yes, so I struggle with Masdevallias, just one that blasted the 3 buds. That is such a shame. That is such a shame. Low humidity, maybe. A drought, maybe. The plant is not mature enough, maybe, but to get 3 blasted. You know what, my Blatia here? One bloom collapsed so quickly because Madam is forming a seed pod, and the purple ones never really opened, and then they were like, yeah, not today. So we're going to have to wait another one for the purple Blatia striatas to show their beauty and open up properly. So we have a seed pod on one. Nice. Just flush. No soak. No soak, Clinton Carmen. You are very welcome, but no, flush. Pouring water through the pot. Gravity takes the oxygen, the air down. The water also has oxygen and pulls everything like a cycle through the pot. And then if you have seedlings, I just want to know, Clinton, if you are in what pot size you've got, if you are in self-watering, or if you are in the classic semi-hydro with the holes at the base of the reservoir, like let's say 2 holes down here. Yeah. You'll let me know. Just know that you can email me your orchid collection list at any time. That's not something here nor there. Excuse me, just one moment. You can email me your orchid collection list at any time. At least I can get that out of the way, cross-reference what matches. And then whenever you're ready, you know, I'm not going to push you, but if I, for example, do have a Care Collab coming up, and for example, you have a Dendrobium unicum that you would like to feature, because that is the next Care Collab I'm working on right now, then you might want to know that ahead of time. You know, send me an email, send me a collection. It'll at least get that part of it out of the way. Have I ever tried to grow a Masdevallia? Nope. And I've never tried a Miltoniopsis either. So I'm only speaking about assumptions here, erring on the side of caution, not wanting to have my environment prove me right. And then kick myself for saying I should have known. I knew better. Me. You know? You're very welcome. Soaking is fine if you have an established orchid, but for the little ones, you know, they like to be rolled in their cot. You know, they like a different treatment. Unicum fragrance. Oh, it's delicious. Yes, my unicum is throwing buds out of a single cane like I haven't had since I got this orchid. One cane. I mean, my orchid looks patetico, but she's going to look gorgeous in a couple of weeks. Oh, that fragrance. You say apricot honey. I feel I smell tangerine. I don't know, maybe. Apricot honey. I'll remember that when she blooms, just to see when I close my eyes, to see what am I picking up. I feel like she has this beautiful, tangy tangerine. I don't know if you know the, like, in Kenya and Europe, we have Tang. In the United States and Canada, it's Kool-Aid. But if you get the orange, you get the orange one and you open up the bag and you sniff that, that is what I'm smelling from my Unicum. Oh, it's divine. And hey, potent. She is not shy about it either, Winterland Orchids. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, I'm trying to coordinate that as many Unicums are in bloom for the Care Collab. And here's the thing, my Unicum came with a single, like, 2 tiny little bulbs, canes at the back, and a broken main cane. And I thought, yeah, that's not going to make it. So I immediately, from the same nursery, ordered a replacement. And just because I wanted one, and I thought, this is not going to work. That's why mine looks a little bit patetico. But anyway, and it turns out that the replacement they sent me, that's how I got the Bensonier. Thank goodness my Unicum survived. She's already also starting on a tiny new growth. I so want 2 new growths from this orchid this year, but I doubt I'm going to get it. The fact that she's got, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 buds on a single cane that's about this long. Love it. Sweet smelling list. Okay. It's got to be on the wish list. Now, I have one that I believe is the Vietnam form. Don't quote me, but I do believe from memory it's the Vietnam form, and there's other Unicums that grow a little bit bigger. So I would say mine is miniature. It's a small dendrobium, let's say. Not a miniature, it's a small one. I've seen others, maybe it's my conditions that don't allow mine to grow bigger, don't know. But I've seen others that can grow double the cane length that mine has, and that would make it about 40 centimeters. And my cane is about 20 centimeters. And they shouldn't be that expensive, Winterland orchids. So that's how I came about my Bensonia. And when she bloomed white, I was like, well, que sera, sera. I mean, you know, you and I, we were meant to be. I would not have bought the Bensonia from pictures only. I mean, she takes great pictures if you know with the camera what you're looking for and what you want to, you know, focus on, etc. But a standard picture on a web page, I would have thought, yeah, no, you know, next. But this, Bensonia, I don't know if Michael is going to watch this video on a replay, but I hope his Bensonia kicks into action because, Michael, if you're watching this on replay, I saw a 7th growth on mine. Sorry. I don't want to be bragging here, but 7. This morning I was like, hello. So I was hoping for 5. When I showed her once, I showed you 4 nubbins, and I said she can do better than this. I want at least 5 out of her, because that's what she gave me. No, that's what she gave me 4 last year, so I'm asking for 1 more growth this year. So then the 5th nubbin came, and I was like, we're going strong. Then she showed me a 6th one, and I was like, oh, surpassed expectations. And this morning, I'm like, how do I share this with Don Miguel? Anyway, slender, Thailand, you see, not Vietnam, Thailand, slender canes. Slender canes, how long, Michelle? I think there is a Vietnam form. Why am I thinking in my head Vietnam? When I did the first Care Collab of the Unicum, I looked at my notes, and I believe there's a Vietnam form that is smaller, just like with the Schilleriana, the Phalaenopsis Schilleriana. The ones from the Philippines are smaller than the ones from Malaysia. But hey, maybe the other variety is from Thailand. Be interesting to know the length of your canes. Yeah. That's the variety that I don't have. Mine is, goodness me, that is bigger length cane than the pot of my Guatemalensis. The pot of my Guatemalensis is 11 inches. That's insane. That is insane. Oh my word. And then it blooms. I can only imagine. Oh, that is wild. Let me see. Came to you with 6-inch canes. Nice. Nice. All right. Well, if my 6-inch canes, no, I don't even have 6 inches. I don't think. I've got, anyway, we'll see. Maybe if I change it from an inorganic mount to something that would then give it its turbo on. Clinton Carmen, Nina, one more thing. My Miltonia have a brownish on the leaf near the bulb, but it got ripped and maybe reacting to it. But it got rot, maybe, and reacted. The other leaf on the other side of the bulb is with the stain too. Should I worry? No, no. Question, is that bulb a new bulb or a back bulb? Two differences, answers there if it's a new bulb or a back bulb. If it's a back bulb, Hakuna Matata, the leaves are dying off. If it's a new bulb, I would definitely go in with some cinnamon, wrap a towel, paper towel, dampen the paper towel, wrap it around the bulb so that you're catching the cinnamon powder, and put cinnamon on the area that is yellowish. And just leave that damp paper towel just for a moment so nothing blows off and then down into your pot and touches any roots. Do that on a new bulb. If it is a back bulb, it was in cocoa pit before the fine ones. It was in cocoa pit. Okay, before the fine ones. I don't understand that. It was in cocoa peat, I understand that. Before the fine ones, I don't understand. Let me check the battery on my device. I've got everything here, I'm not going anywhere. Oh, King, arrête. Sorry, doggy tail. Let me plug you guys in just in case. I can't even see my battery. Hang on a second. There we go. So I'm going to wait for Clinton Carmen to clarify. King, sorry if you see a jiggle. Ven aquí. Ven aquí. No, with your rabo, no. Aquí. Softest heart. Do you use leca for all your orchids? How do you choose leca? Okay. For 80% of my collection, yes. I choose my leca because if I can do self-watering indoors, that is the easiest way for me to keep any water dropping out of any reservoir holes, and it's cleaner, and yeah, indoors. Any orchids that have to go indoors during the winter, preferably in leca and self-watering. And I choose my leca according to the watering requirements and preference of the orchid. So for example, an orchid that likes a lot of water, that would include this. So slipper orchid being an exception to what I'm putting out here now, but you'll understand. Anything with fine roots, I go immediately, I have a tendency, I move towards small leca, being the fact that it wicks faster, retains a lot more water, and it doesn't dry out too quickly, and the flushing itself, everything is just really nicely water retentive. So my rule of thumb is small leca, fine roots. Medium roots also small leca-ish. I don't have my leca sorted by small, medium, and large. I do have it sorted by small and large. So if I'm still working with medium size roots, let's say not a twinkle size root and not a cattleya size root, in between, if that makes sense, that is then the pot size will determine my size of the leca. If I'm bumping the orchid up only, not doing a complete root ball cleanup, small leca goes in to accommodate the additional size of the pot. All right? So the vigor of the orchid, how quickly does she grow, and how quickly does the root system infiltrate the leca, so to speak, and the size of the roots determines what I put in leca size. Now, I use a lot of large leca for my large pot because A, it is crocking, in the large pots like this one, I could have used large leca at the bottom. I didn't think about it, to be honest. I just wanted everything in place. So here I could have used large leca to crock and then filled up with small leca. And the reason this one's got small leca in it was because slipper orchids love their water. So even though they've got chunky large roots, I could use large leca, but I would be hard pressed keeping up with making sure that everything is nice and water retentive around their roots as the orchid grows. Now I also use large leca a lot when it comes to terrestrial orchids. I mix that in with small leca because of the water retention, the wicking, the pot size, it all kind of works together. But if I want to have like a drier climate in the pot, I know that doesn't make sense, but this is super water retentive. And then let's say a Cattleya schilleriana doesn't have a wet dry cycle in this setup, but I can maintain a drier climate around the root system. Then I only use large leca. I still do the flushing, it's still a semi-hydroponic setup, but the large leca with larger chunky roots works a treat. You see, not just the water retention, but think, for example, a chunky root system going into a pot with small leca only. That's not going to last very long because those chunky roots are going to fill in the gaps in between the leca, and your sphere packing is going to be compromised very, very quickly. All right? The sphere packing is something that happens when you put the shapes together and they never ever come together as a solid piece. Like it's not a square. So all the round shapes, everything in between is a gap. And you see the fine roots, they have a gap. Imagine chunky roots getting into this, and then it's usually a chunky root system is also a larger orchid, has a more vigorous growth habit. You'll be repotting every year, which is fine. It can be done, and I don't see why not. It's just, my principle is don't disturb the orchid for as long as possible, and only in emergencies, you know, get in there and take care of the root system. But if possible, 2 years, maximum 3 years is what you're trying to aim for, also with an inorganic setup, and that's how I choose my leca. I have not tried to grow Pleonies, no. I think that somebody will chop them up and think that they're some kind of a vegetable and put them in a stir fry. Sorry, Winterland orchids. My daughter, you know, she's a great cook and she does all these nice little yummies. And if I'm not on top of it, a Pleone bulb would end up in a stir fry, and then she'll probably think it's some kind of water chestnut or something. Just kidding. I could tell her it's a Pleone, don't eat it. But no, I've got seaweed in the fridge. Got so many things orchid related in the fridge. I didn't want to add Pleones. They are so pretty though. Okay, it was in fine cocoa peat. Maybe a water got trapped. It's possible. The other leaf have damage and the other one doesn't, but both have 2 brown stains. Okay. When you do that, okay, if there's sort of brown staining happening at any point in time, brown staining happening, get hydrogen peroxide and get hydrogen peroxide into that area, let it fizz, etc. Paper towel, dry it out. Wet a paper towel, put it around the structure, protect your pot, protect your roots, cinnamon powder. And then just keep it a little bit longer so that nothing blows off, you know, because what you can do is put cinnamon powder, let it sort of sink down a little bit. You can pat it down even, maybe with, you know, the end of a paintbrush or something, but then you should kind of try to maybe blow it off a little bit so that it doesn't, when you're not looking, blow into your pot. Oh, you're very welcome, Sandy. You're very, very welcome. That is a cute little hibiki, girl. You have brought it this far with what you got to work with. I would be so proud. Bärlauch, exactly. That's right, Anna. It does look like a vegetable. Sorry if you hear me swallowing. You're very, very welcome. You know, Sandy, when I opened your email, I was a little bit like, oh my goodness. I don't know what I'm going to tell her. I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to make her feel bad. So I was, anticipating the images, and then I saw what I saw, and I was like, there's nothing wrong here. This is amazing. This is going to be great. My growths on my hibiki are the same size as your growth now on your little one that's been through what it's been through. And those are my winter growths, Sandy. So there's nothing wrong with your little one. Clinton Carmen says, gotcha. Should I trim it a little bit though? No. Hey, you're not asking too much. I would not do any cutting. If you can avoid it, don't do any cutting. If something falls off all on its own, it's going to fall off. At least it will create like a callus around where it's going to fall off. All right? If you see any spotting on any leaves, take a disc, like a makeup disc, spray it with hydrogen peroxide and wipe the leaf. All right? We're still talking about the Metoniopsis. Do not wipe the underside of the leaf during the day. That is when the stomata is open for fine-leafed orchids. So no wiping underneath. Every leaf that you see that has a spot on, hydrogen peroxide on a makeup disc and wipe the top of the leaf during the day. If you're still concerned, wipe the underside at night. But usually you're fine. Hey, I'm still here. I know. I'm not rushing away. Hey, Fernanda, because I'm not cold. But make sure that every leaf that you treat with hydrogen peroxide with a disc has a new disc, okay? So we don't want to be doing one leaf, moving on to the next leaf. None of that, okay? So, yours is blooming now. That is awesome. I am seeing nubbins starting on mine. I'm watching them with suspicion because it's too early to tell if they're going to be keikis or if they're going to be blooms. Meanwhile, I'm anticipating some keikis from my hibiki this year because of that massive chop, and divide. I had one, now I've got two. Well, I had two in one pot, but I never separated them. Last year I did. So if that triggers keikis, we've got more hibiki keikis, which is awesome. Yes, I'm still here. It's so much fun. It's so much fun talking to you guys. When I was going to San Pedro, yes, I'm filming and I'm trying to talk and do some commentary and talk about the scenery and stuff. But it's not the same because it's just it's a one-directional dialogue, So, I like this. I do enjoy it. You're very welcome, Clinton Carmen, and any video, even any comment, any post, if you have questions about anything while you're doing it, while you see your collection, maybe it's got nothing to do with the video that is airing or the post I make. If you have a question, just put it there, okay? And we can just build on that. Because one thing is a question, then you do it, then another thing is, yeah, but what if, or how about, or I should have mentioned that. Just keep the flow going, okay? That's what I like. It's a dialogue. I have too many monologues all day long. When I'm not filming, my mind is constantly talking to me. And don't make that public because I'm not going anywhere unless it's a Versace straitjacket, okay? So if anybody wants to call in a welfare check, make sure if they want me to go with them, they got to bring a Versace straitjacket or I'm not moving. All right, we've got some style here. Robbie Robinson, I had spider mite, thought I had it beat. But with my gem glass, see, that is not so. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very, very wary of this season. I am really looking at that shelf where it started for me last year. So we did the treatment, even though I already did this 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we gave this one another little garlic alcohol misting. That's all it takes. It's just misting. And even though I only do it once a month now, yeah, I'm really, really wary. They may activate again. And that palm tree that I saw and then recognized after it was diagnosed via my video in the comments, I was like, oh, HE double hockey sticks. No way. That one has been drowned also in insecticidal soap. So it's growing a new leaf. That was treated the other day because it was overcast. Oh, I've got the spider mite itchies now, you know. Oh, goodness me. Anyway, for now, if there's anything else, I'll be here another 5 minutes just to see if there's anything else. And if not, we are going to do this very, very soon again, my friends. Let's try that again. We are going to do this let's try this again. We're going to do this again very soon, my friends. There you go. You can tell that's not a common line that I use. It's from another creator that I watch live streams on. And he says that at the end of all of his lives. I just love it because it's promising for the future. And yeah, as long as this keeps up. This morning we had a little bit of drizzle of rain and I was like, really? Just when I was trying to go through the steps of creating a live stream in my mind, timing my day, I had to get some stuff from the grocery shop, and I thought, am I going to be able to make it in time? Because I always get apprehensive before a live, especially this setup here, because so much has to fall into place. And well, Ciliano, he wasn't playing ball, so you know what, I was like, and then it started to drizzle and I was like, no, don't, because if I have to film this, that means everything changes again. It worked out. I'm so happy. Alrighty. Anyway, so here we go. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say thank you so much for being here. It was wonderful to have a chat with you. And I won't steal his line. That's authentic to him. I'm just gonna say y'all are so appreciated. I wish you a fabulous Sunday. You know, yesterday I thought it was Thursday. Just because I was out and about. Because I was so busy, I just thought that was like 3 days in one or something. I don't know, my mind just couldn't comprehend. And then it was like Friday and I was like, wait, what? Yikes. So that's what I'm thinking. Is tomorrow Sunday? Where am I? Hello. Remember, Versace. If you call anybody Versace. Alrighty. Anywho, just want to say, once again, have yourself a beautiful rest of your day. Have a fabulous Sunday. Thank you for being here. And if nothing else, make sure that you stay safe. Take care. Bye.